Hello, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to have a conversation today about the holy instant and time, timelessness, things like that. So, in recent videos, we've taken a look at the enigma of time, this so-called thing that we think is some enigma or some great mystery. We do. It appears to govern our lives here. In fact, we give it all of the meaning that it has. Remember those early workbook lessons? I've given everything all the meaning it has for me. I've given the idea of seconds all the meaning that it has for me. I've given the idea, artificial idea of a minute, all of the meaning that it has for me, and so on. I've given an hour all the meaning it has for me, a day, week, month, year, decade, century, all of that made up. Reality is timeless. It is eternal. It is constant. And as eternal, it is outside of the concept of time. Time is in illusion. So too is space. So too is the physical body and everything that we see here in the world of constant change, including, by the way, the world itself, which is also an illusion and not our home. And we all deep down know this to be true. We don't have to acknowledge it, of course. We can deny it as much as we'd like. And we appear to be having this conversation precisely because we have denied it. Are you done with it? Right? Perhaps today will be the day where you say, yeah, I have had enough of denying reality and truth. I'm going to let it be just as it is right now. And that is something that we're all invited to do. Now, if you're new to A Course in Miracles, welcome. It's very deep indeed. And you know what? You deserve nothing less. That's true, isn't it? You deserve nothing less than a direct approach to truth. Now, it's interesting here in the world because we all claim that we want a direct approach. We want people to be direct with us when they're speaking to us, especially in business transactions and things like that, where we place a very high emphasis and a very high value on getting down to business. What's the bottom line? Tell me right now. I want to know. Yeah. We claim to want directness. Yet when it comes to spirituality, we discover, and it's not flattering, but it happens, we discover that we're actually afraid of direct approaches and we're extraordinarily prone to reject them. Now, granted, this course was not dictated until the 1960s and 1970s, so in the overall scheme of spiritual traditions, it's new. Yet, you might wonder why there aren't more people practicing it. Well, that's why. We say we want directness until we're actually presented with it. Not flattering again, but all of spiritual practice is about removing the obstacles to our awareness of truth. There are many ways to put this in words. So it's undoing, setting aside the ego. That's one way of looking at it. It's removing barriers and obstacles that we ourselves have placed. It's like putting a veil over our face, drawing it down and keeping it drawn down and over our eyes so we cannot see what is. We see only the interior of a cloth that we have placed over our eyes, and we think that's reality. Yet it is not, because even though we may not be able to see the light, we feel its presence. You just know who and what and where you are. And I know you know that. We all do. It's what has us on the spiritual path in the first place. So, all spiritual practice, whatever the outward form may take, whatever the ritual looks like, or the prayer, or the liturgy, or the ceremony, whatever that may entail, all of it is the gradual, if need be, lifting of a veil so that we may see things as they really, truly are, rather than the inside of a cloth, a dark cloth that covers our eyes. And perhaps you'll find that visual helpful. What we're doing is we're removing the veil. We're looking at, directly at, and looking at the obstacles to peace, and we're removing those. And once all of the obstacles are removed, what do we then have? Yeah, peace. We see truly. Now, from there, our perception is said to be clarified or corrected. That's one way to put it. We don't see things as they are right now. When we learn to see things as they are, and then we do see things as they are, that's when awakening happens. Truth dawns of itself. Our job is to remove the veil. Because, like it or not, we placed it there. God didn't place a veil over our eyes. He doesn't know of separation. God doesn't do separation. Therefore, it is not real. It does not exist, and this perceived separation from God never occurred. Having perceived ourselves, imagined ourselves as separate from God, we imagine ourselves to be separate from everyone else. Our brother. We imagine ourselves to be separate from people. We imagine ourselves to be separate from animals and birds and fish and all of the other countless life forms that inhabit this spinning ball of rock along with us. We see separation everywhere. Yet there is a part of all of us deep down that knows, that acknowledges willingly and happily acknowledges that separation is not true. So we're given what we call a spiritual path or a practice, whatever that may look like for you. And incidentally, these videos here on A Course in Miracles are for everyone, whether you're a course student or not. And if you are, it's whether you're a beginner or a a very, very advanced, long-time student, or anything in between. See, because something has led you here to this particular YouTube channel out of all of the YouTube channels that exist out there in the world. There are a lot of them. How many? Who knows? I don't know. A lot. It's a large social media platform. And that's to say nothing of all of the other phenomena out there on the internet, which is large and vast, isn't it? And here you are, which is pretty cool. And it is not by accident at all. There are no accidents in salvation. There is no coincidence, no such thing. Not even. You've been led here by our inner teacher, and there is a message for you in this and every conversation. What exactly that is, I don't know, but you'll know it when you hear it. So we do this course under the guidance of our inner teacher. We forgive under the guidance of our inner teacher, and we calm our mind under the guidance of our inner teacher. This course talks about something known as the holy instant, where the veil is lifted. And these are most often a temporary experience, they're a temporary glimpse where the veil is lifted and we experience our wholeness, our radiance, our oneness. We experience ourselves as not separate, and it's brilliant and wholly joyous. These experiences do happen when, well, I don't know, maybe today, but perhaps some of you have had just such an experience where all of our drama in the world simply melts away and we get a glimpse of what is. That is you. And after such an experience, it's not possible to completely doubt ever again. And you really can't go back to adhering completely to the ego ever again. And the very fact, whether you've had one of these experiences, the holy instant or not, is you're not going back anyway because you're on the path. Welcome. So, here in chapter 15, section 2 of the text, the holy instant comes up, and it is something that is going to happen for all of us. And we're advised not to worry about when. Rather, Jesus has us think about what we can do to practice this instant. And by that, he means what we can do to calm our mind, to prepare ourselves for what's coming. And we all know what's coming. Full awakening is what's coming because we've never left our source. This is a dream. We're waking up. And you are, make no mistake, well into the process of waking up. If you're even interested in this direct approach, you are well into the process. So keep going. So we're told that we will receive specific instruction from our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, part of our mind, this part that knows who we are and sees right through all of the veneer, right through the veil, right through all of our ridiculous psychodrama. All of it. So he sees right through that. We're invited to follow him. And it is under our inner teacher's guidance that we do this course. And by that, I mean not just read it, not just watch this video series, though I appreciate that you're here. It's in putting these ideas into daily practice that we really, truly learn. We learn this course by doing it. Yes, it's one thing to understand these ideas with the intellectual thinking mind, and it is another thing entirely to put them into practice. This is where the real learning takes place because our experience shows us, it demonstrates to us, and if you prefer, proves to us that these ideas are true. Extend love, receive it back. Give the miracle of true forgiveness, receive the miracle of true forgiveness. To give and to receive are one in truth, but we won't know that until we give. We learn this course by doing it. And how do we do it? Well, we listen to the guidance, to the instruction of our inner teacher. Now, to the extent that you're possibly experiencing resistance to the concept of our inner teacher, understand that the Holy Spirit goes by many names. If it's the nomenclature that is the sticking point, call it whatever you want to call it. You'll notice I'm using this third person gender neutral pronoun, it. Yeah, the Holy Spirit is not a person. It's not a man or a woman. A Course in Miracles uses the masculine pronouns he and him. And so to keep with that convention, I use those sometimes. But the Holy Spirit is, in fact, it. Call it whatever you wish. Mike, George, Louise, your guide or guides, you may call the Holy Spirit by multiple names. What's a name? It's a collection of sounds that we've assigned all meaning to. All of the meaning that it has, we've assigned to it. It is a collection of sounds. So don't let that stop you. Also, it's very important to recognize that the Holy Spirit is not outside you. It's a part of you. It's part of our mind. So, in giving over our entire experience to the Holy Spirit for his guidance, we're not ceding control to a foreign power. We're not giving over control of our moment to moment lives to an outside force. There is no outside force. There is nothing outside you. You heard that right. There is nothing outside you. All resistance that we experience on the path is of the ego. So we appeal to the guidance of our inner teacher. And when it comes to calming our mind, it is with a calm mind that we can hear this guidance. Now, the guidance takes many forms. You may or may not get a voice, an actual voice speaking in your mind in a language that you understand. Most often, this comes in the form of an idea or an intuitive hit. There are a number of people on the spiritual path that rightly consider themselves highly intuitive. Yeah, that's your inner teacher speaking to you, and you're receptive, aren't you? Yeah, good. Intuitive hits, that's our inner teacher speaking to us. Something that we just know, a deep inner knowing, or it could be something that we hear coming out of a pixelated image on your screen, which is in fact your inner teacher speaking to you. If something lands for you, and when it does, it's him. It's not pixelated image on your screen. That's just an outward appearance. It could be something that we see with our eyes, or we read, or we listen to, or we could see something that just reminds us of who we are. Maybe it's a blooming flower, maybe it's a cute puppy, or right, a baby animal, or a human baby that's cute, or something. It could be anything. You know, when something lands, it's your inner teacher speaking. So when it comes to preparation for the holy instant, what I find has helped me the most is not to make a thing out of it. You know, we're so experience and attainment focused in modern life, no matter where you live, that we think that we're doing something wrong if a giant beatific experience has not happened for us. You're not doing anything wrong. Just let these desires to achieve this yesterday go. There is no yesterday, after all. It's only the present moment. That's all we have control of, our mind in the present moment. So give this moment over to your inner teacher. Just sit quietly. Something that I find very, very helpful in making the mind more tranquil is simply to sit quietly and say, I am here, Lord, and await further instruction. Just sit quietly. If you've never tried that, try that. It could be something else that you're called to do, but have confidence that you will hear the message that is meant for you. Again, we just went through some of the many ways that our inner teacher speaks to us. So we're invited to lean on his guidance. There appear to be 8 billion of us after all. So that means there are many different outward forms of this instruction. Count on something unequivocally that the content, the essence of what the Holy Spirit is saying to all of us is exactly the same. It is whole, it is loving, it is love itself, and it is unified, perfectly unified, perfect oneness. The outward form may differ, which is why I've got a camera and a microphone on several days a week to share the Holy Spirit via these videos. That's my own personal directive. And quite naturally, yours could look very different. And it does, and it looks different from one situation to the next in life anyway, because certain situations call for one single response, but perhaps a different outward form than the last time. The response, love. What form does that take? Well, I don't know. It could be smiling at somebody. It could be saying something wonderful to somebody. It could be forgiving them in your mind without their ever knowing it. Could take many forms. The content is exactly the same. All right. So, my hope is that you've found this conversation helpful in practice because spirituality is indeed all about practical application. Yes, it's a beautiful thing to study and pore over the words of this text and the workbook and all of that stuff. It's a beautiful thing to arrive at an understanding of this with the intellectual mind, but there's so much more to it than just that. It's in putting it into practice, again, that we really and truly learn. So that's why this course is a self-study curriculum that's predicated on our doing it. So, to the extent that you have questions in the practical application or with the intellectual understanding of these ideas, please feel welcome to ask questions here. There have been a number of really excellent questions, and discussions right here on YouTube. And that's what this comment thread is for, in fact. So if you've got a question, please feel welcome to ask. And thank you to those of you who have recently subscribed. We've had a number of you. If you have not yet, here's the prompt here in the corner of your screen. So go ahead and click that, subscribe, join us. Several videos appear each week. And again, spiritual practice should throw many questions to the surface. It's a process of deep self-inquiry after all. So again, if you have them, please feel welcome to ask them. And I thank you very much for joining me.